Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Essential Credentials podcast. And we've got a couple of returning guests, the OGs in the house today.
What's going on? It's good to be here.
Up. It's been too long.
Yeah, man. The national crew, huh? Guess what we call it? I don't know.
The original gangster.
That's right. I was just
it's good to
thinking
be
about
back. I know it's been a little bit. Haven't really done many of these, but it's good to be back. We're just gonna change it up a little bit, I think, and just kind of BS with some buddies and shoot the crap, I guess. Show some cards off and just have a good time with each other. So we're looking to maybe mix it up a little bit and kind of have a fresh start.
Yeah, I agree. Alan, we were talking about that too, how much fun it'll be to kind of bounce back and forth, like have a couple of these. We're just hanging out, showing off some cards, interacting with people that are watching, and then maybe do a more structured one if we can get a guest or have Gene back on. That would be kind of neat someday down the road. But how's it been collecting for you guys lately, man? I mean, it's Greg. It's been a while since you've been on here, and Alan, you too. I mean, what's new? Anything recent?
I'll say, I hit one of those peak points where like I started losing interest, and I always cycle. Like there is comics or cards or whatever. I usually cycle, even video games. I'll get bored and I won't touch a video game for like 3 or 4 months. Same with comics, cards. So I kind of just got in that mindset of I didn't really want to look at any card. I still kind of looked at eBay, but I wasn't really buying anything, and work got really crazy. So I didn't do too much with it. And then naturally, you see a card or two. I'd had like a slow trickle, like a breadcrumb trail of cards coming, where it was just few, if none. And then they would get here, and I would look at them and kind of put them to the side. But naturally, I'm a collector at heart, so I got back into eBay and started getting back onto the Facebook group and kind of checking it more. And naturally, I think the Facebook group is like a rabbit hole. If you just look for a little bit, you'll start seeing stuff again, and you're like, man, that was a good card. Man, I have one of those. Oh, I need one of those. And then before you know it, you're looking at eBay, and you're getting stuck down the rabbit hole all over again. So the Facebook group always brings me back when I'm feeling kind of like out of it. And, eBay is always there, but the Facebook group is really like the trendsetter for me, to where I'm like, oh, I need that card. I want that card. So it really helped me get back into the swing of things. And as a result, I got a few heavy hitters for my collection this year, which I didn't anticipate because it seemed like I wasn't even going to be interested come March when the tornado hit here in Tennessee.
Right.
And then just after that, I got in touch with some people, found some cards that I really needed that were like big cards. And what I thought was going to be a lackluster card year ended up being quite a big one for me. So it's been good. It's been good after an uncertainty of what I was going to be doing.
All right. I like how you talk about cycles real quick, Alan. I was just going to say, I think you and me have kind of done that too, where you kind of get frustrated, like, oh man, I don't think I'm going to be able to pick up stuff. There's not much showing up. And man, ever since spring, this kind of shook everybody up, man. Cards are starting to come in from out of nowhere. And yeah, I just echo what Greg said too. I found new avenues to collect, kind of like your Barry collection, Greg. Like, I'm so long. I'm like, don't go into another sport. Don't do it. Or don't go into modern. Or, Greg, you'd sent me like a Panini insert. I'm like, fight it. Don't look for it, And that's getting into hockey. And then, of course, modern baseball cards with glass now has certainly like kept it fresh, So then when an A-Rod shows up, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Cool. I'm not like just waiting, like, can't something show up,
Right.
But what about you, Alan? I mean, how has it been the last few months? how's it been collecting for you?
I would say, as usual, it's been kind of up and down. It's been a roller coaster. What you guys describe about sort of fading in and fading out of the hobby, that is so familiar with to me. Like I talked to you about this, Matt, about how like I would buy high-end cards, but they would sort of be sitting in a corner there when they arrive. I wouldn't look at them. I wouldn't scan them. I wouldn't process them or show them off. That's how you know that your heart isn't in it at the time. I think that's part of the normal cycle of being a collector. I mean, if I'm just going off you guys and how it's been with you guys, I can tell sometimes when you guys are like, in a peak or in a valley in terms of how it goes. So sometimes you feel like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I not really into cards anymore? Like, will I ever be back into cards again? You get kind of worried. You have kind of a crisis of confidence, and then it just comes back, like Greg was saying. I don't know what it is. It's usually one or two things that really spark it. I just got a whole bunch of cards in recently that I was able to finally open, and that has really sort of capped off kind of a frenzy for me. Like, this is, I feel like I've kind of epitomized what has been happening in the market recently, because I had no chill this summer. Everybody's going buck wild, and I'm saying I think that actually the smart thing to do would be not to go buck wild, to wait it out till things calm down and then get the cards you want. But I haven't done that. I haven't taken that advice at all. So I'm surrounded by new cards. Like, I could just spend hours showing you cards that nobody's seen before.
Yeah, I know Alan's got some nice stuff over there.
He might have 2 or 3 shrimps worth over there, maybe 4. I don't know.
Here's the thing. It's like, you guys have been showing, because I'm not on Instagram too much, right? But like, those guys on Instagram, they have like wallpaper of just some of the highest end, most beautiful cards that we all love. For me, Credentials, for you guys, PMG. So I found that kind of alluring, to be able to have so many awesome looking cards just scroll through. So I kind of got caught up in that a little bit. I would say that I made a couple of purchases that I don't think were the most sound. I think that I kind of got caught up in the moment, maybe more than a couple of times. So we'll see how this plays out. But for me, it's in my actual heart of hearts, it's because there are a couple of Bonds cards I really want, and I feel as if getting some other cards that people would want to trade might help me. But so far it hasn't really worked. We'll see.
So you're saying you're setting up moves down the line. You're trying to see 2 or 3 steps ahead of what you want to do.
Right. I think I'm playing. The plan is for me to play chess while everybody else plays checkers. But what's actually probably happening is I'm playing tic-tac-toe and everybody else is playing checkers. So,
oh man,
not been pretty.
So I'm gonna say something on that. Like, I have played that game, and what ends up happening, and what you mentioned to me, it seems to happen to maybe a lot of people, is you'll get a card and you're like, all right, this is straight bait. I'm going to get something awesome for my collection. And then you get it and you're like, man, this looks really cool. And you're like, put it on your desk. You're like, this is a really cool card. And then you're like, I can't trade this card.
Exactly right. I mean, you advised me. You said, hey, why don't you move that the Flair Masterpiece, Manny Ramirez, 1 of 1. Both of you have advised me. Both of you are like, we know what card you want, dude.
Right.
Why don't you just put that forward and trade it away? I'm like, I don't think I can, even though it's a secondary player for me. Once I had it in hand, I was like, I don't think I can trade this. Like, not even for Bonds, which is kind of crazy.
Well, unless the card shows up, right? Like Greg and I know, if the card showed up and they're like, look, I really like that Masterpiece. Come on, that thing's out of there, man. See ya.
I don't think
I think you would. Come on,
we'll
man.
See. I haven't been confronted with that yet, so I don't know if it's like a gift or a curse that hasn't happened, but it hasn't.
I think, Greg, perfect time to show off a couple cards, because look who's watching the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you, if you want to show off a couple, but yeah, we were lucky enough that Significant Inserts, man, he was thinking of us and our podcast and everything we've done, and he sent us some really good stuff.
I got a care package from Significant Inserts. He just commented. I wasn't expecting it. I hadn't talked to him in a few weeks, and he just kind of sent me a card. And what's crazy is that this card is something that I had almost pulled the trigger on several times. I got a message about it. Somebody found one at a card show, but the price was too high. This one I had been looking at COMC, eBay. I was just like, it's a little too much. And then I finally was going to put the money in COMC and buy it, and it was gone. And I was like, what are the odds? It's been here forever. What are the odds? And it ended up Significant Inserts bought the card and sent it to me. So I was like stoked. I was so excited because the card that I had just built myself up to buy was now gone, which makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So I was just like bummed about it and ended up getting it in the mail from him, which here it is. It is the purple, holographic purple number to 50 Tim Salmon autographics. So,
Beautiful card.
Yeah, it is. I really love this card. It's even got the crystal holographic foil on it. It's an awesome card. I've got the regular, but this was the one I needed to kind of finish it off, finish the rainbow. So getting it from him, was just a Christmas present for me.
That is clutch. I mean, he's hooked up the original hosts of this show up a couple of times now. I'm not even that big a fan of auto cards, but when you showed me that, I was like, whoa, it's beautiful.
I like it too. I mean, Al and I have spent some time talking about pictures that like make a card. And for me, that Salmon's neat because he's in his spring training uniform. Like he's there kind of getting warmed up. The colors are really, really cool. And then of course, as we've talked about, Greg, Tim Salmon hand numbered that card himself. So that makes it even better. So
hard sign.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that they number.
I don't think so. Now we were joking about that in the national. We're like, it's definitely hand numbered by a player, No chance.
It's definitely a female with good handwriting.
I hope she got paid good for it, man. But I got a package, and I just have to say, like the package had Significant Inserts tape on it, so I'm like, okay, this is going to be pretty exciting, So I was very careful opening it up, and he sent a few cards my way, but the two I wanted to send were. Again, like you, Greg, I was bidding on this card and I lost. I'm like, man, this patch was so cool. And then he ends up sending it to me, and it was from Pacific. So it's the Invincible patch out of 125. So kind of one of the sides of the star on the baseball, the Mariner. But for me, the coolest thing was in '97, when they first did the EX brand, they made this oversized A-Rod card to put in hobby shops. And not only did he send the card, which looks really, really cool, of course. But it came with the original box that had this letter from Flair and Skybox in it to the dealers.
Awesome.
And that's just such a cool piece. And I won't read the whole thing, but it basically says, put this on display. People will buy your product. People will buy our product because it looks awesome. So, I was completely caught off guard by that. So Significant Inserts. Thanks for hooking us up, man.
You also, if you give me the screen for a second.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So he sent me this, and it's in the case.
Oh, that is cool, man.
It's in like the 4 screw down. It says Elite Dominators on the case. Really cool card.
Is that how they used to ship back in the day? Like, why is that a thing?
Honestly, I think it's one of those specific things where they had the triangle screw down. Mm-hmm. And so I think this was like probably to show off your Dominator. I don't know if it would have been a contest win or just a LCS kind of thing.
I wonder if the LCS is kind of like that. Had it, like if the LCS pulled one because there was so much product back then, they would be shipped a few of those to sell, but then one they would put, they'd have that salmon sitting out on the case or whatever. Like, what's that? What product do I buy? Get one of those.
How do I get a pack of that?
Well, you're going to have to open about 1,000, but give it a best try.
Yeah, for sure.
Holy smokes!
That big A-Rod you just showed reminds me of something. I don't know to what extent you guys have been watching any of the new investor guys on YouTube, but when I go on a run and I run out of videos of my friends and I've watched all the Essential Credentials podcasts, there's pretty much nothing else to do, right? I've Googled Barry Bonds. I've seen every single post. Yeah, it's all downhill from there. Like, I got to find some content, like you're out there running and you're trying not to think about it. So I've been watching some of these investor shows, and one of the guys is really high on the big cards because he feels his point. I don't know if you guys agree with this because obviously it's controversial right now the role that investors are playing in our hobby, but he thinks that those large oversized cards they're undervalued today and they're going to be more valued in the future because baseball cards are going to be seen more as art pieces in the future, and that's something you can sort of display as like a poster or a print the way you would in a home somewhere, where it's harder to do that with like baseball cards because they're so small. So that's neither here nor there. It just made me think of that.
Go ahead, Greg.
I was just gonna. I had a thought on the investors that you were talking about. Like in the comic book world, the speculators were hitting hard around 2013 ish, and forward. And if so, it felt like every new book, the speculators were coming out and just gobbling them up and trying to grade them and flip them. And then my cousin, who actually was pretty hard into the comic world, he recently got out of comics to get into modern cards, modern baseball cards.
Okay.
And so he's kind of doing the same thing with the speculation. He's doing the prospecting and all that. So I think a lot of people are transitioning into baseball cards. I know Gary Vee has been a huge advocate of investing into cards, but I would say a lot of other people from different areas he said the comic book area felt like it was dry because he could no longer find any deals. Everybody knew what they had. Right. So he's moving on to baseball cards, which you're saying the investors are now speculating on big cards, and I think it's just a transition of people going to different, even from stocks to baseball cards.
Yeah.
It's really crazy now.
It's so crazy. And the thing is I actually have been watching a couple of the Gary Vee videos, and I didn't know anything about him. I just knew he was a big name in social media. And I had obviously a automatic negative impression of him, even though I didn't know anything about him, just because I knew supposedly what he was about third hand. I watched a couple of his episodes, and they seemed fine. They didn't really seem like he was pumping anything up or pushing anything. He seemed genuinely excited about what he was doing, and he didn't hide the fact about what he was doing. He's like, I love cards, but I love investing probably as much or more. So I'm using it as a vehicle to have fun, and that's all I'm doing is having fun. So to me, he hasn't really talked about it like it's an asset class, or like he hasn't talked about it in those types of terms. He's just like, I like a card, and then flipping it for twice as much. That's just what makes me happy. And I have nothing against that. Like, that's fine.
Matt, I know you're starting to get into some modern stuff. I have been watching a lot of White Sox games, and as a result, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez. I've got a few Moncadas, but those are big time guys. And I bought Acuna last year for $300, and now it's hitting like $1,200, $1,500. I don't want to sell it, but I'm like, I just like the guy, so I bought a card.
Right.
All these things are like, it's like they keep going up. Everything has like a flipping point. So it's just the modern card world is just so different than the 90s. I feel like it's a whole different gamble. I feel like the 90s, like Griffey's not going to get hurt. He's not going, Bonds, Frank, what you're buying. It's a steady increase now. But the modern stuff, man, that is a whole different ball game right now.
No, it is definitely a different world. Obviously, I don't collect a guy that's highly, touted or anything. He hasn't done well yet this year. It's very sad, but it allows me to kind of get into there at a very low price point, and it's just joy. Like, a new release is coming out, and Glasnow's in there. All right, but for prospecting, it seems, the word volatile just keeps coming to my mind because, like, Luis Robert has like 2 games where he hits a home run in each game, and all of a sudden his cards jump $5. Whereas pre-COVID, you've got, like he had to have a good week or two, and then his cards like, oh, okay, maybe we should start paying attention to Luis Robert. Everything is like day by day, and that's what's just been crazy. Even in the hockey world, Alan, like that goalie, Cami Salo had like 82 saves in a playoff game, and his young guns went from like $10 easy to like $50 in 2 days. I was like,
You know,
oh my gosh, man.
hockey is more of an adrenaline rush than like any other sport, right? Because it's a free flowing game. It happens in real time. The playoffs are arguably the most exciting playoffs in any of the four major North American sports. And
if your team's in it, our teams are out.
Exactly right. And but to the extent that the adrenaline rush is part of cards, I mean, I don't know if there's a sport which is more based on the moment. You know, oh my God, this guy just went off for 3 goals. Let me go pay 3 times as much for this card as I would have, before. Whereas in basketball and baseball, even if you go off, I don't know, it's like a 162 game season in baseball. It's just like a long slog, and it's going to influence it, but not quite with the spikes of hockey.
Well, especially because all the seasons are so short, right, Craig? I mean, everything is like so compacted. Like one game means like this much compared to like
The White Sox, the broadcasters are like, they've already played 1/5 of the season, and I'm like
it's like 3 games in.
Tear comes down. Like, okay, how many more Glasnow starts does he have until he needs to like really have a good start? He's only got like 15 starts this season for each pitcher. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think that you guys are on the right track anyways, because you can't lose. If you're buying like a prospect that's on your own team, then you're buying your own player anyways. Like it's not really, you're not really losing because you're not really prospecting. You just like the player. And if he blows up, then that's great. You'll deal with it then.
Well, the issue we have is, so I want you to contribute to my team on some significant level. I don't want to buy the card and then you get traded 10 days in, because then it means nothing. Just because you were a rookie on my White Sox doesn't mean you're a part of the White Sox.
All right.
Like Jose Abreu, people who have been there for a little bit, like I give them the grace. So if they get traded, I still feel like they were part of the team. I'm the same way with Chris Sale. He went to the Red Sox, and I'm still a Chris Sale fan because he was a valuable commodity for the White Sox. So if I have a Chris Sale card, I'm cool with it. But if Eloy gets traded, he means nothing to me because he didn't really contribute anything to the Red Sox. So
it'd be like Posey getting traded from Allen's Giants. Like if Posey went to the Mariners or some team to end his career, he's a Giant. Let's be honest, right? Tim Lincecum went to the Angels, he's a Giant. Like, Griffey, he was always a Mariner.
Bumgarner's a Giant. I mean, he's in Arizona right now. I don't know what he's doing over there right now, but he's not looking too good. But yeah, he's always a Giant in our hearts here in the Bay Area.
Right.
Yeah,
Can you guys show like your favorite Glasnow and also your Acuna? I want to, if you guys have it available, or do you?
Well, I grabbed 3 of the same card, different parallels, because I was curious what you guys thought. I mean, you and Greg are very lucky. And Greg, you've talked about the 93 Finest Salmon, right? I know you like that card a lot. And for me, I don't have anybody in there that I would like to get except Griffey, and that's not even in my ballpark. So they redid the set this year, and I really enjoy the way that they turned out. Alan and I, Tyler and I compared, and they don't refract as much, but I think it's really cool to kind of chase a modern rainbow that reminds me of the 90s. So I have here the gold, the black, and the regular refractor from this new release. Let's see if I can get it to focus. So apparently there were 50 made of the regular 50, and this is printed to 50, and then the black is at a 25. So I don't know. I mean, do you guys like that they redid this set?
I do. I like the gold one a lot. The black one is cool. I think the gold one, if I were going to get one, would be the gold one. I'm a gold refractor kind of guy.
Yeah, that jumps out. I'm a sucker for gold. Like every gold card I have is amongst my top cards. I will show my most modern card while you guys are going with that. This is from 2006. It is the Home Run History Red Refractor out of 25. So this was like a partial parallel set for the Home Run History set, commemorating, I don't know how many home runs he hit by the time this set came out, but it staggered. It was like the first home run and then the 25th, 50th, 75th, and 100, all the way up to the 700th. So there's a lot of these, but I only recently figured out what these were. And I'm not really into anything but 90s right now. This is the closest I've come to modern. This is my Glasnow for now until I figure out what Giant I want to collect.
Right.
But it's a pretty cool card. You know, like this is my first one from like any time past 2002. So
Cool.
we'll see. We'll see.
I like the fireworks thing
Yeah.
going on in the background. That looks really cool.
Does it actually shine? Because I can't tell right now.
Yeah, I see it. Like, yeah.
A little bit, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet because I was actually there for Bonds' 500th home run, so this is a really meaningful home run for me.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I was in college. I was telling my Bonds friends this, and I was shooting that at bat with my Motorola Razr, which had a screen about that big.
That's right. That's right.
I had it on him when he swung and made contact, but the screen was so small, I didn't see the contact. And he hit it so high in the air, it was a golf shot, that I couldn't find it in the air from the bleachers. So I actually didn't see the home run. I didn't see it in the air. Like, I just heard the roar. And then saw him rounding the bases. So that's my claim to fame.
All right. That's cool. You got to be there, though. Greg, do you is Luis Robert your guy then for the White Sox? Is that who you're kind of picking up modern of, or did you just kind of grab different ones that you like?
I really like Luis Robert, but I'm a Yohan Moncada guy. He got traded to the White Sox from the Red Sox for Chris Sale, and I don't know. I really like the guy. I like Eloy Jimenez and I like Luis Robert. So like it goes down Moncada, Eloy, and then Robert in terms of rookie year. Luis being this year. It's the problem is his cards are just going for insane prices. So I'm like, well, how about I get Eloy this year, and then next year I'll get Luis when he's not as hot.
That's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, I did pick up some of the 3D cards. I think I picked them off to one of the groups. And it's got that 90s feel to it. You know, all that 3D stuff has 90s feels to it. 90s feel.
Flakes, baby. You remember the smell of those things? Like the feel of them? Yeah. It's forever in here. Yeah.
And so I got those, but everything else is just going for crazy prices. So I'm thinking about just getting a cool Eloy or two, and then next year hitting the Moncada. But I did. Here's the Acuna that I bought.
Wow.
Oh, man.
I bought it last year for about $300 to $350. I can't remember.
That looks fancy.
And now they're hitting like $1,200 to $1,500 with the PSA 10 going from like $2,000 and up. So it's an awesome card, and I just got it because I like the guy. I thought he was a good player. Being from the South, we get all the Braves games, so on TBS you can watch the Braves, and I took a liking to the guy, got a cool card, and it ended up being like a Gary Vee move. So
without even knowing it.
That's funny. No, that's cool though, man. It just shows you how drastic the market has been in the last few months. But yeah, well, Greg, if you'd end up going for some Eloys, I will say that I thought this is my first year going after Topps Chrome cards ever, like chasing a rainbow, and the gold, like all the different parallels. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but like 20 different ones you got to chase for top sets. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I was looking up the regular tops. I'm like, I should be able to put this rainbow together fairly easy. And there's like all these different parallels.
Yeah.
Meyer, Walgreens. I'm like, what is going on?
There's so many. There's like 30 of every card. A different color, a different. You got gold wave and gold and blue wave and blue. It's insane. It's insane.
I will say that this is my first gold wave, and I think they look pretty cool. I like the technology that they use on them. See if it'll pick it up. The lighting's not that great, but it looks really, really cool. The way it kind of changes in the light, sparkles and all that good stuff. So it's been fun, and especially collecting. Like if you were doing Eloy or whatever, I mean, it's an affordable player, so I could kind of get my feet wet with the idea of making a rainbow, and I'm getting close. I've got maybe 4 or 5 left, so it's been pretty fun and for cheap too. Love it.
And what I found in terms of collecting, and I think I don't know who was. I was watching a podcast. I think it was the one you were on, Matt, actually, with the hockey guy.
Oh, Carlos, yeah.
I do something very similar. I didn't realize that it was a thing, I guess, but retrospect, I was thinking about it, and it's like I come up with little goals when I'm like running dry on salmon. I'm like, okay, you know what? I can't really find any salmon. I want to do this. And one of my projects for 15 years has been to get an autograph of every 2005 White Sox player. So ideally, I would like to find a 2005 pack pulled of that player, but not everybody's that good to have a pack pulled autograph. So I'll make do with what I can, but that's one of the things, like when I'm not doing anything, I'm not buying any salmon, Barry, Frank. That's like one of my side goals. So I find like these little mini goals to do to keep it fresh and interesting for collecting. So I think I feel like you're doing something similar with Tyler, where you're just collecting you got this like mini goal here where you're like getting like all the rainbow of a card just because you keep it fresh. That's how you keep collecting fresh, just by doing these little mini things when your main thing is kind of hit a stalemate.
It definitely allows me not to focus on A-Rod as much, like, again, I think I've told all you guys, like, it's everything else is just cherry on the sundae, man. I feel really happy with where it's at. I don't know if you're the same with Sam and Greg, but I feel like if I see anything else I don't have, it's like, oh, this is a nice surprise, but I've kind of just put it on the back burner. And, Alan, that's why I know when you were starting to kind of get your mojo back, I was like, it's chase some of the other cards, and the ones that look good that don't cost very much, because like Greg's saying, it's nice to have a goal on the side. That way, if you don't get the like, mountaintop card, if you end up losing it or it doesn't show up, you're like, okay, what am I going to do?
It doesn't break you. Yeah, for sure. It softens the landing a little bit. Well, I mean, I have my own little thing, but that has nothing to do with 90s. I just want to go through some of the most basic, like 80s and 90s base cards of tops of bonds and find them in high grade, like in a PSA 9 or a BGS 9. That seems like, it's one of those small things that eventually I would like to put together. It's always there. I can sort of retreat to it if all of this other stuff becomes too overwhelming, which it already kind of is for everybody. Like I just had a pop-up right now for a bonds card that I guess I bid in the high 3 digits for, and it looks like I got outbid, so I'm not going to win that card, which is fine, because right now I'm just kind of like willy-nilly going for cards that I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, that card's nice. Let me get that. It's not on my top 10 list of cards. It's just like, that card's nice. Why don't I just throw a whole bunch of money at it? It's a terrible psychology, but part of it is just because the prices of everything are rising so quickly that you're worried it's never going to come back down. You're never going to get it cheaper.
Yeah. I find myself doing that often, where I'll be looking at something, like I'm tracking it hard, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, a squirrel. And I'm thinking, I need a squirrel really bad.
Yeah.
I needed this squirrel so bad.
Can I show you one of the squirrels? I'll show you one of the squirrels. There's so many squirrels. I don't know which squirrel to pick exactly. But like, this is one of the squirrels. I love this set. I've been trying to get the bonds of this. And I just went out and got a card of a really good player who's not bonds, because I can't get bonds. And that's probably not the best move I ever made, because this doesn't make me feel like I have the bonds. It's a beautiful card. I mean, if I ever wanted to start an Instagram account, I could probably put it on there and feel like, oh yeah, I have the kind of wallpaper I've always lusted after. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm here trying to get these bonds that I really care about, and all of a sudden I'm buying Mark McGwire Essential Credentials cards. I mean, it's absurd. It is absurd.
I know somebody who has like their hair standing up on end watching this podcast right now after seeing that card. Oh, that's beautiful.
I was a secret McGwire fan.
I mean, you talk about squirrels too, Greg. When we were at the National, I think that's why I was so, like, it took me months to recover, because it wasn't just the thumbing through boxes. Every time you're walking by a table, it's like squirrel, 2 squirrels, 3 squirrels. Like, even if it's modern cards, like, ooh, that looks like a nice patch, and oh, look at that Chris Sale auto, and oh, look at that. It was a lot.
But the issue you end up is like everything starts looking the same. So like that modern stuff, like if you're not looking for your specific guy, everything just starts looking the same. So you're like, you know what 90s looks like, and then you know what modern looks like. And so once you start looking through enough modern, you're like, oh, it all looks the same.
Sure.
Oh, this case just has modern. This table just has modern. You can just like glance and be like, they all look the same.
Yeah,
And so
that's true.
the 90s stuff for somebody like us, somebody who's in a group, somebody who has a player collection, it's pretty easy to spot a 90s card. You're like, oh, I see something, you know, and it ends up being, you know, something from the 90s.
I'm with you, dude. They definitely stood out. I mean, when we were walking around, you definitely would stop when it's like, oh, I think I see a credentials over there. Or, oh, look at that prize collection. Like it just snags your eye. Ooh, you know.
Like you're like, oh, I see that circular PMG pattern. And, you know, it's hard not to see them.
Right. Yeah, and then you get there, and you're like, oh wait, it's select. Never mind. Not to hate, because I'm loving it. Don't get me wrong, but it's funny that other companies are like going back to that now. You know, like I guess people do like these designs. Well, yeah.
But that's one of the downside of those reprint, like your Tyler 93 Finest, because you see it and then you're like, oh, 93, and you're no.
Right. That's happened with the essential credentials. I don't know if that last card I showed you was so much a squirrel as it was kind of like a fever dream or an acid trip, because that was really far out. I can show you a squirrel. This is closer to just me being distracted by kind of a side thing.
Okay.
This came in recently. I don't know if I hadn't shown it off, actually. This is Manny Ramirez. He's my secondary player. Probably my number one secondary player.
Oh, man.
That's the gold anniversary. Man, that thing is beautiful.
So, and it's out of 5. Rodney, I asked him if, you know, the 5s are always in question. So,
right.
But I asked Rodney to take a look, and he said that it is legit. So I went and got it.
You know, so the baseball, they have the gold signature on the side, and the football just has the gold 50th anniversary.
That shine's different, though. I mean, the shine is a little bit different on your card than it is mine.
Yeah.
There's a different texture to it. Yours has a little bit of like waves in the background, whereas mine is completely flat.
I'll be honest, though, I would prefer his signature over Bowman 50th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that.
Right.
I would rather have his signature on this card, you know, printed on it than just Bowman 50th. So I do enjoy the baseball a little bit more just because it's got that signature on it. Like, I'm still looking for the salmon. I would love to find that.
I mean, it's a good point. I never understood. I thought Golden Anniversary was kind of, personally, without knowing anything about 90s cards, kind of a lame name, but I actually finally understood what it was celebrating. It's the 50th anniversary of Bowman. I still remember seeing the Bowman 48 sets at the very beginning of Beckett magazines. And so actually it is meaningful to me. 50 years later, that's what they were celebrating. It makes sense. And that kind of raised my appreciation for the set a lot more.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a cool, you know, commemorative set, and being 5, it's one of those, like, so you got the starting 9 Fleer, which there's only 9 of them, and I feel like this is rarity done right. It's like a refractor numbered to 5. So it's like you got Lord of the Rings. This is how Saruman should have been, Gandalf the White.
That was a good one, dude.
Yeah.
Now I'm never gonna think of him again the same way.
Yeah, because Gandalf, like, I am how Saruman the White should have been, and that's how you do a rare parallel. Player starting 9 can go to the evil side, and
they can hang out with the orcs. You're saying?
They can go lead the orcs, and Bowman Chrome Golden Anniversary Refractor can save the world.
Well, you know, when you collect a guy that's really expensive, like I kind of went the Allen route. I'm like, well, if I can't get a Bowman Golden Anniversary, what about a Topps Chrome Golden Anniversary? Because they're pretty tough to find, and it surprised the heck out of me. You guys ever had that happen when you're like, okay, I know this card's a refractor, it'll look nice, but you get it in person and it knocks your socks off?
Yeah.
I would say that's what this 2001 did, because this is the Topps Golden Anniversary Refractor. And they were 1 out of, and my lighting's not even good, so hopefully it does the card justice a little bit. But like you can see the golf ball thing going on with the baseball in the back. It's kind of like 3D-ish. Yeah, blew me away, man. So that's my golden anniversary contract. That's like the little hobbits riding on the horse. It's like not quite good enough to be up there and fight the battle, but it's in the discussion.
That's good. No, that is a cool card. I don't have any of those.
I think Frank's in there. Yeah, Frank's Barry's in there. I know Barry for sure is in that, but I think Kyle in the group had picked up the Jeter a few months back, and I'm like, oh man, that's been on my watch list for so long, and I like how it's been lately. Hey, speaking of gold,
I asked Matt this privately, privately or publicly, I can't remember, but I asked him, you prefer this set, this one, the 99 gold refractor out of 100, or if you prefer the golden anniversary from 2001. So
Greg, I think you could agree with me on this. The 99 finest are just balling, dude. They are straight up.
Yeah, I'm a 99 gold fan all the way. I've got the Paul O'Neill. I'm waiting on that because that's one of the. I go for my little side PC guys, and I was able to pull the trigger on that one. So I love that. Vlad. Like I would pay, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 bucks.
Hey, that's saying a lot. You sure you don't mean 15?
Man.
You're not fooling us, Greg. I like how he's changed since the whole pandemic. Greg's like, oh, maybe I should pay more for this card. $5 is okay.
I'd pay 20. I'd put 20 on it.
Well, that's funny. I'm curious, Greg. Like, we used to, like, all of us would be like, hey, we can get a deal on a card. And that has definitely bit us all in the butt. All of us. And but like now, and I was trying to talk with Alan, and we were just talking a couple of days ago about a card. I'm like, dude, just pay this for it. Like in this market, you just have to like, all right, if I want this card, I'm just gonna have to suck it up. There's no deal making anymore, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
at least
hard.
with our guys.
And it's so weird, like pre-pandemic, pretty much everything. I'll use the Barry Sanders rookie, for example. The PSA 10 was hitting like $300 to $400. Then the pandemic hit, the stimulus checks came, and then suddenly it was an $800 to $1,000 card, and everything was doing that. Everything was doing that. It was like just a bum rush of people buying stuff like insane prices, and it's kind of continued. It like never really stopped. I don't know if we will or when. I assume when is the question. When that will change and when things will go back to normal, when prices will lower. Because you have to imagine things will not just always be going up insanely like that is.
impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah, Alan's the doomsday prepper, man. He's always like, "That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, man. The bottom's falling out." What do you actually call it, Alan? You don't call it that. It's something else.
I can't remember. The bubble bursting, right?
Yeah, thank you. The bubble's about to pop. Yeah. That's it.
So, who knows? I wish I could time the market. I have no idea when it's going to happen. I was at least about 8 months off already. Like it's continuing to go up. But at some point, when people who aren't really into baseball cards or basketball cards leave, that's really going to have an effect on who's out there bidding against you. And that'll be the time to get these big cards that we all want, that we can't grab right now. And, I had a discussion with Joe LaGreca briefly on our main group about, it was a debate about whether there's a lot of inventory. And for me, like just having been to the National with you guys and just being there amongst all the cards, like it doesn't matter how rare a card is, the Jeter Essential Credentials, the pink one, the McGuire Essential Credentials, the pink one, they were all there. You know what I mean? Like they're hard to find, but I feel like inventory actually still outstrips demand. Because if I really wanted one of these cards that I really wanted, I could just go out and buy it. If I said I will pay you 10 times what it's worth, I could find that card and I could get that card, right? So I think in most cases, other than like the golden anniversary and a couple starting 9 where there's really really not that many, anything 50 and above, if you pay the right price, it's gettable. So if you wait long enough, I feel like you can eventually, if you have the patience, you can eventually get it for a decent price.
Well, I'll tell you this, 2.5 times is not enough to get a green salmon Essential Credential. I know that for a fact.
Oh my gosh. For a fact. It wasn't theoretical.
Tried it, huh?
I tried.
Dude.
He was like, no, I need it for the set. I was like, it's 2.5 times. 2.5.
I am a new collector, a very new collector. So I never really appreciated how big an impact a set collector has on
Right.
the hobby. And we all know what happened recently with the prize collections. A guy basically released his entire set. And I was thinking, one person deciding to sell out one set, only one set, watered and improved the PCs of like 100 people, like 50
Yeah.
just in the group. It's amazing to me.
Yeah.
So there must be so many awesome cards of my player hidden away in somebody's set somewhere, is what it
Yeah.
occurred to me.
When he posted those prize collections, how many times did he satisfy you? Several.
Yeah. There's okay. So are we gonna show it or is it?
Yeah, like can we show some cards before my brain just starts going
Crap,
another
dude.
places? I mean,
I wasn't ready for this. We need to pregame next time. I can prepare for this.
I do want to say that it still surprises me when, Greg, you hit me up. You said two things. One, do you know this is on eBay? Second, I got salmon. I'm like, wait, Greg didn't have that card? Because, I mean, it's hard to think about, okay, I know he doesn't have the yellow, but what else do you not have? And that just goes to show, man, like this whole pandemic hit, and there's been cards that have been showing up, just like we kind of talked about, Alan, that here they are. Greg, does everybody have theirs out to show?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's right here. I'll pull it out.
Great.
It's hard.
I know. Yeah,
oh, boy. Yeah. I'm sure it's going to be very shiny, beautiful. It's going to depict a famous baseball player, certainly.
All right. Well, I have mine out to show, so I'll start. Here's again, this card blew me away. And if anybody watched my mail day video, I ended with this card. It might be one of the top 5, maybe top 3 cards, like design-wise, shine-wise, visually appealing that's ever been made from the 90s. So here's the A-Rod. Oh, yeah. And this is terrible lighting. And look how awesome this card looks. So it was, one of the harder ones to find, having a print run of 55. And so happy.
That card is awesome. Like, they're so sneaky rare. And the set collectors obviously played a big part in this because I could never find a salmon. I don't recall even seeing one doing the research for like previously sold stuff. It was just one of those, like the prime choice reserve. You would think they would be out there, but they're not, and you don't know why. And so here's a salmon.
Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful. Great lighting.
So it's like 55 of these. They're not numbered. You'd think they would be sneaking around, but they're not. People know what they are, and they don't let go of them until one guy satisfies all your needs.
That's right.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Matt, your card looks terrible on this broadcast, but I would encourage everybody to go to your show-off thread in the same account. You show it off, and the enthusiasm in your voice when you talk about that card. Like, I already love the card. It's very high on my list. Mm-hmm. But when you talked about it, I'm just like, wow, you really captured how beautiful that card is.
And if anything, just go watch it for the ER intro, man. That'll take you back if you're our age. That was probably the most enjoyable thing to do in that video. I spent hours making that thing, and it's fancy. But
so when I did the DuckTales intro, it took forever for me to get that thing going. I can't imagine the work you put into it.
But it was funny. I was like on a walk. I was taking one of my evening walks around the lake here in Sitka, the lake, because there's just one. And I was like, okay, I listened to that song like 10 times in a row, and I was kind of piecing together what it would look like. And it's about half what I thought, but it was just fun, something.
It's fun to make those kinds of things. You put time into it. It's fun to show off.
Did you do that DuckTales thing in one take, or did you do it like 16 times?
I think I did it in 2 or 3 takes. Because I was like, no, I need to.
I have to go back and watch that, man. You have to like awesome. Let me screen share it for everybody. I don't think a lot of people have seen that.
That's on the top Tim Salmon cards, I think.
Okay, cool. Do you have those uploaded right now still?
They're
okay, good. Awesome. Well, Alan, what about you, man? How many of those did you end up snagging? I think you bought like 50 of them, right?
I got a couple. I got the most important one. After I got the most important one, it was just like celebration. It was like I was going streaking. So I actually knew about this particular card. I knew that this card existed and who had it, and it was this seller who sold to everybody who had it. I think there's something reassuring about having knowing where the card you really need is if you really wanted to get it. So when it came to market, like I was in a panic because I was like, this is the only clean non-refractor line copy of this card I know of in existence that I know where to get, and it's on the market live right now. So I just pretty much just paid whatever the amount was that the seller was asking. But check out this card, man. Oh,
It's crazy, man.
oh,
That's some power preferred right there.
oh my gosh.
That is beautiful. I wish Salmon had one of those.
Oh man. Anyways.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too, Gray. So he just made it into the other set then, I guess. Well, at least he made it into that though, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome. How many does he have?
So he's got the 1, 2, 3. He's got 4.
4 of them.
Yeah.
So this is the the fever dream aspect of I'm thinking about working on a set actually. Like Matt and I are working on a trade right now. I think it's already pretty much done.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah.
And he's sending me he's sending me the A-Rod for the A-Rod. And
Alan wants the graded version, so I was like, well, I'm glad that he will be his OCD will be fulfilled, because for me, I hate graded cards. I'm almost pulled it out of that case a couple times. So
man, that is a battle for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I cut against the grain, and I don't even like myself for it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, there's no way that I can support an industry that is so shady. That is the graded card industry. But at the same time, I think I've admitted this to you guys in private on multiple occasions. For some reason, when I have a card in a graded slab, I just like it more. It doesn't even have to be a 9 or a 10. Like I have my Aqueous in like a 6 or a PSA 5, and I'm like, this card is better because it's in a PSA case, and I can't explain it. It's inexplicable.
Sorry, I have to put this up here. This is for you, Alan.
Sorry,
no.
I might change my mind. I might just give up because there's a lot of cards in that set.
We just all need to get together and find you the card. We won't mention the card, but the Bonds card. Once that happens, the floodgates will open. You're like, all right, you guys can have anything. Go for it.
Oh yeah, I would say 80% of my purchases were like have that, and for whatever reason, it's just in the back of my mind. I'm not saying that it's going to get me there, but that thing has been following me around forever. So
it's going to happen, dude. It'll be an amazing day when it does happen.
Yeah, Greg said, just pay whatever, dude. Just get it, and then you can move past it. I was like, if it's available, just get it, and then we can move on from this.
I know Greg will when the Prime Choices are.
Oh yeah, go all in. $30.
You mean times 2.5, right? You're gonna 2.5 times that.
2.5 Prime Choice Reserve. I'll do it.
If you lose that thing for like over $100, I'd be so bummed. Like that just would be crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Here's one of the salmon I recently got. It was my number 4 on the top salmon want list for me. I started to get like this 6th sense, like a gut instinct when a salmon's about to pop up.
The spidey tingle.
I'm like, oh, I feel kind of like weird today. And the salmon will come up, and I'm like, I knew it. And here it is.
Oh.
It's the first day issue refractor, number 25.
Where are those ranked? Where do those rank for you, Greg? Like refractor wise, are they better than the 99 chrome refractors? I mean, are they up there with the Bowman Golden?
Yeah. This is better than the 99 finest gold.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just because you don't really see them. There's 25 of them. I know Andrew Wilson had the Gwen, and it was incorrectly labeled on his PSA. He bought it as a refractor, but it was the actual first day. So it's one of those, like, it's similar to like a platinum medallion from 97 where you're like, you don't really know. And this is even worse because the refractor looks exactly similar to that, except first day issue is on the bottom of it. So that's the only way to differentiate, plus the serial number on the back. So this is one of the cards for me that I was trying to acquire. Like I missed the Frank last year in December, and I really regretted it. I was kicking myself in the butt. And the Tim obviously is my dream to get this card, and it had stumbled its way to number 4 on my list. And I was like, man, if I could just find one of these things. There's not even one listed on eBay or the other research sites. There's not even one listed. So it's one of those there's none that have popped up in my knowledge. So just to see that card in that moment, I was at work and I was like, I'm out. Like, it was a best offer situation, and I put in the best offer. And after 30 seconds, I was like, why isn't he responding?
Yep.
So I just hit buy now, and I was like, okay. I paid an extra like $50 versus the offer, but I didn't even care because I've never seen that card, and I was like, I'm not going to lose it for $50. I'm going to buy it right now. I'll just deal with the situation. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I posed this question before, like, what card is harder to track down, that one out of 25 or the Crusade Red out of 25? Yeah. And Greg's point, I think, is well taken, right? What were you saying?
Yeah, I was saying the Crusade, the notoriety behind it, the people know what it is. They post it up. You see them floating around. You see them on secondary sales, behind the scenes, eBay. They're always floating around. This card can be mistaken for a regular refractor very easily if you're just looking at the front and you think it's just a normal refractor. And they don't have that popularity, so they're not as common on the sales sites. So you just don't see them. So the Crusade is worth more, but in terms of like success, I feel better like having that card because the Crusade I feel like I would inevitably find again, but this I probably won't.
Yeah, I was saying, like, if I won the lottery tomorrow and I had like $500 million in the bank, right now I could go and get a Bonds Crusade Red right now. I could just hop on eBay and grab it. If I offered $500,000 for a Bonds first day issue Chrome Refractor from 2000 Stadium Club, I wouldn't be able to find one because somebody has to have it, right, in order to sell it. Yeah. So it's one of those cards where it's actually possible that one or two or more are in a landfill somewhere. Whereas there's zero possibility that a Crusade Red would be in a landfill somewhere, presumably.
Yeah. The odds are against it that the Crusade is anywhere but screw down or magnetic or a top loader.
Right.
Well, speaking, the last one I have here is, and you guys know kind of the story behind this card. Speaking of a card that I'm pretty sure half of these or more aren't even around anymore, was from 97 Flair. They did this redemption card for a signed A-Rod glove. And I remember I missed out on it because I was, teaching a class. I mean, can't believe that. But I was just teaching my third graders and I hopped on the Facebook group and it was gone. And I'm like, oh man, like this is a perfect card for a collection. Like, come on, if Tim Salmon or Barry Bonds had a card like this, you guys would be like, I got to get this thing sometime. And long story short, Bo had it, bought it, and we worked out a deal for it. And I'm happy I acquired it. I paid much more than he did, but I was like Greg was saying, it was just worth it. One of those cards. It's never going to show up again. And if it does, it'll be blind luck. But this is what it looks like. It's got that. Let's see if it'll actually focus. It's got the green, emerald text, and on the back, right here.
There it is.
That is
22 of 25.
And I messaged Jean, and she's still, I'll have to send her another message. She said she'd look into it, but she's like, I don't even know about this card. I remember I asked her months ago. She said, I'm going to keep asking, see if I can find out some information. I just want to see what the glove looks like. Does it have a Flair sticker on it? How did it come packaged? But I think one of the more unique cards I own in my collection, to have it, like, why is it hand numbered on the back? Was this returned? Like, this person didn't fill it out. So, like, what happened? There's a cool story behind this card. I don't know if I'll ever find out what it is, but I had to add that one. That one was just like, all right, I'm done for the summer. I'm done for the year. I can't peek further than that. And then the prize came up 2 weeks later. It was crazy.
For somebody who's not actively collecting A-Rod, you've gotten some pretty sick PC cards in the past couple of months, right?
I look 10 times a day still. So I mean, it's more, the better term would be actively getting cards in all the time. I get an A-Rod in once a week or once every other week now at this point. And I'm guessing it's the same for Salmon, right, Greg? Just kind of here and there.
Yeah, I think you got me beat. Mine's probably like once a month now.
I mean, do you guys have this happen too? Where I know there's some Salmon, your favorite brand, Greg, Pacific cards that you're like, they show up all the time. I'll get them later. Like, there's definitely a few A-Rods that I'm like, I'm going to go after this card instead because they show up once a month. I'll just pass.
Yeah, there were certain cards I'm like, yeah, another day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Alan, do you feel like, now that you've kind of branched off into these other players with the inserts, has it been taking the pressure off of the bonds a little bit? So like, oh, I got to get new bonds, or is it still kind of the same, you think?
I wish I could tell you that it was the first, but it hasn't like taken the pressure off at all, right? I mean, so this is just like a neurotic energy that I have to try to get the bonds. But for the most part, besides one or two boneheaded purchases, I've been getting just beautiful cards that I don't regret having. Like I remember talking to you about this one because I wanted to check with you, make sure you have a card before I go after it. But I mean, this card, I can't find a bonds of it. So if I can't find a bonds of a card, I have now just gone whole hog into a secondary player like A-Rod or Manny or Larry Walker, Vlad, even Maddox. Whoever really can be an awesome player on a card that I don't think I'll be able to find anytime soon in my player. So, and does it? You're asking me, does it actually like make it feel like I'm less pressured to get the bonds? It actually does. This card is gorgeous, man. I mean, like you don't really need your player to really soak in this set. It's amazing. So.
That's why getting into Jocelyn Tebow cards has been amazing. Elite status gold, the whole select certified run. I mean, like, I was like, okay, well, I really don't need the A-Rods now. These look amazing. I mean, Greg, you were lucky you collected Samba, but you got the Barry too, and it was kind of fun for us to compare the shine on the different cards. Baseball, I think, got it right, honestly.
Yeah, baseball is pretty awesome. I feel like on the hockey, they feel very similar. But the baseball just does something extra on it.
All right. Well, I know we're coming up to an hour. Does anybody have anything else they want to show off before we call it good for today?
I guess I'll throw my last one.
All right. Oh man, I'm sorry to feel the thunder.
That is not what I was expecting.
Man.
Holy crap.
The Mirror Gold, that was one of the big cards I was able to obtain this year.
Does it get any bigger? I mean,
yeah, it gets a little bigger.
The PMG, right? You guys are all about the PMG. I feel like people fall into two camps, whether PMG is the apex or, Mirror Gold is the apex. And you guys are in the PMG camp, aren't you?
I am personally.
I'd like to be.
I mean, just in terms of
yeah, no, I know what you meant. I was just being salty.
Hope someday.
Yeah, I was just being salty. That's a beautiful card.
At least your buddy has it. That's better than nothing.
Oh yeah, well, that is true. I know where one is. I mean, I know that Barry is awesome, and like I have this Burroughs Gold from O-Pee-Chee Platinum. I mean, they're pretty nice, but Greg, I feel like there's only one card that could top all this stuff. One card, and I don't know. I mean,
there is.
There is, but only a few collectors are lucky enough to have a copy. I love Alan's confusion. Greg knows where I'm going with this.
Do you have that card ready? I feel like we every time you reach for a card, I'm expecting to see that.
I was expecting it to be like under his hat or something.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, shoot.
Matt was prepared for it because usually you can see like one of the veins in his like forehead pop out when you do this.
It is. I can't get it to shine today.
It hasn't come out and been in the light in so long, man.
I know.
Hey, Greg, thanks for doing like the funny hide behind the card picture that I like to see in groups, where they take a picture with their computer and they're like peeking over the top of the card, That's great. Alan, anything else you want to show off to the camera, to the folks, or?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Save some for the other forms, and next time we get together, hopefully I have a couple of cards left to show.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks again for making the time out, fellas, and coming back. The chat, you have to go back and read the chat. It was quite fun. I didn't have time to put everything up, but the comments, people were pretty stoked to see the OG crew back together on here. Be fun to do it again in the near future. So everybody for watching, thanks. Greg, you want to say anything before we sign off?
No, just it's good to be back. It's good to talk to you guys again. It's good to show off some cards and get back into the swing of things for YouTube. So I look forward to doing a few more of these.
Cool.
So.
Awesome. Alan, any last words?
I would just echo that. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Today was a lot of fun. This is the 1 year anniversary of our post national breakdown. Is that about right? So,
yeah, man. And I feel so much more energetic today than I did a year ago.
Well, that'll happen when you go to the national. You gotta
Yeah.
eat your Wheaties beforehand.
My cup was beyond empty. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Especially Greg, Mr. Go, Go, Go. Like, he's like, I'm powering through, man.
He didn't eat, man. I had to force feed him like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Like, here,
he was
Greg.
pouting. He was actively pouting. Like, I do not want to be sitting down eating. Like,
I remember that we drug him into the room. He's like, got his head down, like, oh, man, like kicking the ground, you know?
What are you guys doing? Why are you eating food? There's cards over there. We haven't looked at them all.
Oh, man, that was good stuff. Well, hey, Alan, it's obviously nice to have you on. I always enjoy the investing aspect that we get from you. And then Greg, it's nice to have you back on the show, man. Thanks for making the time. So, well, thanks again, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you next time. Episode 37, signing off. See ya.